This special meeting of council shall come to order at 6:35, please. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Here.
Jones. Here. Sephardi.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Brownlee.
Here.
Trojansky.
Here.
Agee.
Excused.
Albers.
Here. May I have a motion to suspend the council meeting agenda and proceed with only the legislation this evening?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Adams.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Sephardi.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Brownlee.
Present.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Passed.
The legislation for this evening is primarily to pass the annual appropriations budget for current expenses, and we need to remind all of council and everyone else that's listening that this has to be down to the auditors by April 1st, and it's really and true that if it isn't passed and it isn't taken down, that there will be no city services as of April 1st, and that means nothing. No fire, no police, no payroll, no nothing. So it's a pretty serious issue that we have in front of us, and that is the third reading for the appropriations. And if there's anything else that we have going here, I would like a motion for adoption, please.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Chair.
Call the roll for adoption, please.
Madam Chair.
Adams.
Madam Chair, point of order.
I've also called for the roll at this point. Did you have something that is pertinent to this reading?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. We are considering passage of the budget, the annual budget, and you're correct about the deadline. However, according to our charter, we are required to have a public hearing for the budget prior to passage. Article 7 rather, Section 9 states that the council is required to hold a public hearing on the budget at a committee of the whole meeting. That has obviously not been done here in Maple Heights, so I would say that regarding that, we cannot pass this budget. Secondly, the Certificate of Estimated Resources has yet to be amended. So therefore, this council cannot approve appropriations that are well exceeding the existing Certificate of Estimated Resources, as was previously explained at another meeting. If it's a timing issue, perhaps the problem arises not from the ability to pass it or not tonight, but because the budget was not brought forward in a timely manner. Again, the charter clearly states in Article 7, Section 9, that the budget is to be brought forward the first business day of March. The first business day of March. We missed that by about 2 weeks. That is why we're back up against the wall. And I will not throw aside our own rules, our very own rules, in order to compensate for incompetence and operating in an untimely fashion. So this council should firmly consider whether it's going to uphold its own rules or cast them aside for expedience.
May I point out to council and our audience here that we have had readings on the budget. March 4th, we had a special council meeting on March 11th. We had another council meeting on March 18th. We had a finance meeting, which was all open to the public, on March 23rd. And we are now having yet another special council meeting on the 25th. And I cannot see how, and in addition, we've also had invitation to view everything on Facebook, in neighborhood news, and it goes on that we have also been open and ready to pass this budget. I do believe that our finance director has given ample I guess, time to this. She had been involved, if we can recall, In the audit, several audits, and she was delayed, absolutely, we totally understand that, and I think we have to give her just a little bit of leeway for being late for a couple of, several days. But I see no reason, unless someone else would like to weigh in here.
Madam
Mayor,
President,
go ahead.
we all know what the charter says. Everyone raised their hand and took an oath and said they would uphold it, so everybody knows what's in there. In fact, if they don't, they should by now. And we also know that Councilman Brownlee loves waiting till the last minute and the day before and having his wife do his dirty work by sending out an email, and you can't even get the wording right, Councilman Brownlee, because it says public hearings with an S. It's plural. And I've been doing this a lot longer than you have, and we have never had public hearings on the budget. We've had many committee meetings and special council meetings. Now, if you look in any form of a dictionary, the definition of public hearing, it is a type of a public meeting, and that's all it says. We've had many public meetings on this budget, including regular council meetings where the public was here, and if they wanted to, and they very well may have, come to the microphone and weighed in on it. This is just another attempt to intimidate and stall and make everybody look bad while somebody else tries to look really, really tall by making everybody else look small. That's all this is, nothing more. We've already done all of our due diligence. There's no reason to hold this up any longer. Thank you.
Any other comments, please? Councilman
Madam
Adams?
President, I have to say one thing on finance director's little bit of tardiness, because it was March the 4th that we had the first meeting, and it well publicized finance meeting, best what a whole meeting of the whole. Everybody knows, residents all know that what the agenda, and it was stated on the agenda. The finance meeting, everyone knows a finance meeting, all the finance is going to be discussed, and we did. We also know that we had auditors in here that was keeping that finance department in turmoil. Get me this, get me this, get me this, get me this. So that put it a little behind. We don't have extra workers. Everybody's working 150%. So we have to take a little leeway. We on council, as the mayor said, are elected to do a duty. I, for one, cannot shut down this city. There's some things I would like to ask about the budget, and we have a chance to do that. I'm saying to this council that we wait till June, July, check over the revenue, excuse me, the revenue and the expense reports monthly, and go over them at a finance meeting. And if we see we are sliding back in our expenses, we have a right to put in legislation or an agreement with the administration to take some steps to go the other direction of the budget. And we could do that. And that revenue and expense report, which we all get, might not come out too timely because of the circumstances, but we have to take that into consideration. And that way, we could straighten up our differences. I know Ron Jackson has things that he wanted addressed. Bill, I read over what he handed us out. There's a few things in there I like, but we all have a voice, and I say we wait till June or July and take it up and pass this budget and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other comments here?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Jackson?
do we have an opinion from our law director?
I'm sorry, was that a question?
Yes, do we have an opinion from our law director when it comes to if we have held appropriate meetings?
No, not really. He was concerned that he was just a little bit concerned about the way in which it had been sent, that we were illegal or something like that. Sometimes that happens when people think that we're not doing the right thing. We are doing what we need to do. And he obviously is not able to be here tonight. Any other comments, please?
I have another comment.
Go ahead, Councilman Adams.
And Monday night, we had a finance meeting. Everybody knows what a finance meeting is. Been publicized out there on the Facebooks, mine, and papers and everywhere. Monday night, we had one resident, Bruce over there, at the Monday night finance meeting. Well publicized. One resident. Tonight, 5 residents. So we're going to hold up a budget that's been well publicized. They could have been here. If there was interest, they had a voice, they could have been here and they could have heard. Here's what we got. And they have a right, if they want, to ask you, the president of council, if they can speak or if they can't speak, and it's up to you to allow them or not allow them. And we haven't had that. So I think we followed the law. I think everyone's well aware. They elected us to do his job, is to run this city, not to shut it down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Councilman Brownlee?
Thank you. It was stated here tonight that a public hearing is merely a public meeting. That is absolutely not true. Public hearings, as defined online here, is the same way that we define it in every other context, whether it's planning and zoning, whether it's our tax budget. It is much more than merely a public hearing. This is what it says. Although a public hearing is also a public meeting, the main purpose of most public hearings is to obtain public testimony or comment. That has not been done as of yet. And as we are all well aware, a public hearing in any other context requires its own special notice. It needs to be included in the agenda. It's its own specific item on the agenda. And that has not been done, as everyone is well aware tonight. So we need not play games and try to define it separately than we define it in every other context, just so we can do what we want to do tonight. A public hearing is a public hearing. A public hearing is a specific part of a meeting in which you entertain discussion on a particular topic. And we all know that has not been done. If you want to throw aside the laws, which this will not be the first time, but if you want to do it again, you're privy to do that, I suppose. But I would say that it's very unwise, and it sends the wrong message to our residents, that rules don't really matter. So when we bang on their door, expecting them to obey the rules, what authority do we have? I don't think we have any. When we bang on their door, expecting them to pay taxes, why do we think we have any authority if we're so willing to cast aside our very own rules? It's clear what the charter states. We should follow that. It's as simple as that.
Going back to, thank you, Mr. Brownlee. Going back to what Councilman Adams just said, we have had public meetings. We have had several which could be construed as a public hearing as well. I think we're making a fine line here. And also, we have had opportunities to approach this council and discuss the legislation, discuss the budget, and ask questions. That hasn't been done.
Madam President, may I make a comment?
Absolutely, sir. State your name, please, and your address.
Bruce Terrell, 6258 Benham Road. You've got a budget here that has rightly been stated. It has to be down by April 1st. If it's not, then you're shut down. Council also has the opportunity at every meeting, not just a finance meeting, but at every meeting, to put on the agenda items that you feel necessary to address anything in the budget. You also have the opportunity to track your income tax revenues and all other revenues, and any time that you find that falling short, you can take and you can amend the appropriations in the budget. I don't know of a community that does not amend appropriations multiple times, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is a floating document. It is, quite frankly, it's a best guess. That's all it is, because you don't know what you're going to run into. Mr. Brownlee was very correct in stating that last year the budget was overspent by, I believe he said, $3 million. Part of that, no doubt, is your overtime for your fire, which was spent at the warehouse and the distribution center, police overtime, cost of salt. There's multiple things, repairs. Is that going to cover the whole amount? Absolutely not. But it happens, and that's why you amend your appropriations. And that's why you can pass this. If next month you get figures in from the auditor's office that says your income tax is running 1, 2, 3, whatever percent behind, you have the authority to ask your finance director, to ask your mayor, to ask the administration to look at this and make changes. You can't let it slide, because if this city stops, you got more problems than what you think with the auditors now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Councilman Jackson?
I don't like this, but I would like to say, without a strong opinion from our law director, I think we should err on the side of caution. Reschedule this meeting and call for a public hearing that will be followed by a vote of the proposed budget.
Well, we have a motion on the floor right now. Go ahead, Mr. Evans.
I'd like to ask the mayor, because I'm kind of confused here. We have public notice sent out in accordance with Article 7, Section 3 of the Charter. Special meeting calls will be held on Wednesday, so forth, 6:30, Senior Center, so forth. On the agenda, and it lists 2015-08 on third reading. An ordinance to make appropriation for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Maple Heights, State of Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, and declaring emergency. It was put in the papers, posted on the websites. But isn't that efficient? On the third reading is the vote, always has been. And that's what we're here for tonight. I mean, that's why we're here to vote on the third reading for the appropriations. So I'm kind of confused about this, and it is a special meeting. So we should be legally bound by voting on it.
Madam President, would you like me to answer?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Mayor.
As I stated earlier, I started doing this in 1987, just like you guys did, sitting there voting. We never did this. Into the 90s, when I served as council president, we never did this. And even as mayor, and you know, because you can backtrack, some of you, the last 7 years, did we ever do this before?
No.
No. But all of a sudden now, because we're being Pearl Harbored here, the morning of the meeting, and we're gonna strike fear into everybody, because what, we're gonna be sued again? Who's gonna get sued this time? How much of tens of thousands of taxpayers' dollars are gonna go out of the city's treasury into the Brownlee's pockets with their attorneys? How much more money are you gonna hemorrhage from us? How much? Because that's all this is about, is intimidation and aggravation and anxiety, and now everybody's gonna second guess themselves of what their duty is. They need to do this. You need to do this. It's a third reading. People put you there to vote. Vote. You don't want to vote for it, vote no.
Call the roll, please.
Adams,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Safrati,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Brownlee,
No.
Trojansky.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
5-1. Next is
Go ahead.
ordinance number 2015-11, an ordinance authorizing the city of Maple Heights to accept the titles to parcels of land at 5130 Lee Road, obtained through the Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation in the city of Maple Heights, and declaring an emergency.
And this resolution is on its second reading. And there being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned at 6:35. Thank you. 35? No, I'm 55. I'm sorry. I had 35 done. Thank you very much for attending.